Next, I want to add the titles to the end of our video. Remember, that's at the beginning. After the box closes, it'll wait a second. Well, not exactly a second. It will wait a moment and then say, Happy Halloween from the crew at CG Cookie. All right, so I need those two titles. Now you can add, Shift-A, add text, effect strip text in the video sequence editor. However, you cannot change the font. So this is, I guess, only intended for subtitles. You can see it has this export subtitles option. But it's a little bit crazy that we cannot change the font. But at this point in time, that's the way it is. So we're Blender users. What are we used to? Being able to do anything we want, however convoluted the workflow, we can accomplish anything visually with Blender. So here comes a workaround for being able to create specific font titles for the video sequence editor. We're just going to delete that text strip, and I'm going to make sure my file is saved, and I'm going to open a new file. All right, fresh scene. I'm going to delete the cube and the light, Alt G and R on the camera, and then move that up so that I'm going to be looking at from the top down. That way, when I add a text object, we're pretty much in the ballpark already. So we're essentially going to render very quickly a title image with Blender and then just import that into our edit as an image strip. All right, so we're tab into edit mode on our text object, Happy Halloween. We need to back to object mode and scale that down. All right, so now it's fitting in the frame. The frame size, doesn't really matter. This is going to be a super quick render, but just for optimization, let's go ahead and shrink it. All right. I'm going to save this file as titles. And now we need a good font. So if we go to the font data panel, it basically allows you to select whatever font you have. Now, Blender doesn't come with a collection of fonts by default, not that I'm aware of, just this B font. So we need to open a font file, but first we need to find and download a font file. So I'm going to jump over to Google, and if you search free fonts, you get a lot of options. Free fonts is not a new thing, not a new idea. They're definitely available. Now I'm going to look for specifically public domain or CC0 fonts, and where I've found some is openfontlibrary.org, which transitions to fontlibrary.org, okay? So if we browse the complete catalog, then we get the option on the right to filter by license, all right? So we can do CC BY and I can just attribute the creator, but we can also just do public domain and not have to worry about attribution. These are just open to anyone and everyone to use however you wish. And we have a collection here of fonts. Not that many, but enough to choose from. And I'm just looking for something maybe a little bit creepy, something that reminds me of Halloween. Two fonts, one for Happy Halloween and then one from the crew. So I like actually this Space Meatball. I think a nice chunky font for Happy Halloween will be good. So let's click on that, download it, download Space Meatball. And then for the next portion, I'm thinking, I like this Warenhouse Typenheibel. We'll go with this one and, have some nice custom fonts that we can use for our edit. So once I download those files, we can jump over to the Finder window, and I put them in a font folder. Where is that font folder? Right here. And Space Meatball, unzip it, and we have our font.otf file or TTF. I think Blender uses both of them, or rather either one. So let's jump back to Blender, and for the Happy Halloween, we can just open that font. Fonts, Space Meatball, OTF. And there we go. We've got our font in Blender. Scale that down to fit. All right, we're ready to render this. I can do it pretty quickly with Blender Render, but we're getting to the point where Blender Render is not going to be included in Blender anymore. So let's just use cycles real quick. And I want to add a material, an emission material, no shading involved, just pure color, and an orange color. So Shift-Z, all right, that's perfect. Let's render that, see how it looks. All right, that's fine. We just need to turn on transparent, film transparent, render image. and then save this out as an image file with an alpha channel, PNG. Let's add a graphics, GFX. Fun fact, I know you probably saw the Adobe Premiere files because the original I edited with Premiere, but this new version I'm obviously doing with the VSE. So that's why you're seeing that. In the GFX folder, let's type title Halloween. Excellent. And then I will duplicate this, move it to a new layer, layer 2. And this one is going to be from the crew. Actually, let's load up the font because I don't think it's all caps. So load up that new one, Warehouse. Let's go OTF. From the crew at CG Cookie. Let's center it. There we go. Save that out. Excellent. Save our file, then jump back over to our VSE edit. And here we can add an image. Go find those graphics. Change the blend type to over. And in hindsight, I actually should have kept the 1920 by 1080 because I don't want to have to deal with the transformation of it automatically adjusting the aspect ratio. So I guess I could jump back over to that scene and re-render at 1920 by 1080, but let's be a little lazy. And what does image offset do? Okay, that doesn't work because it crops off the N in Halloween. So let's do image crop instead, and let's adjust that because I think nuts. I don't know why the image crop works this way. Like, why is it not cutting off? It's like scaling. It's very bizarre. I thought that would work. Instead, I will, I guess, have to add a transform node. The VSE it can be funky town for sure, and most people who use it know that, but it can be competent. Now, how about the uniform scale? I need to, I guess, make this effect strip also alpha over. And I don't like having an extra transform strip just to cloud or muddy the waters in the edit, but oh well. I actually don't want uniform scale. I want, because it crushed, it messed up the aspect ratio. So instead, I'm just going to ballpark the position, or the scale, and then the position, right like this. There we go, Happy Halloween. I can turn this into a meta strip. That'll clean it up a bit. And then once again, change the blend mode to alpha over. For each one of those strips, I had to do that. That's funny. All right, let's try and figure out some timing. Box closes. Maybe wait a little bit longer for Happy Halloween. We'll extend this duration all the way to the end. All right, now for the crew at CG Cookie, add another image. Move this up. All right, and we'll change it to alpha over. Let's add a transformation node. Also change that to alpha over, and then adjust the scale. Maybe more like that. From the crew at CG Cookie. Awesome. Same thing, meta strip. One more time, change it to alpha over. All right, let's check the timing. And I'm not going to transition these. I actually like the punch of a hard cut. So, boom, Happy Halloween from the crew at CG Cookie. I want to move that forward, actually. Happy Halloween from the crew at CG Cookie. Well, maybe I will leave it a little bit back. All right, so we've got those edited in there. And speaking of the punch, we're also going to end it with a hard cut. Now I've got a fun little sound effect, that little scream I'll add. But yeah, so that's adding titles to our edit. And that's it for the video portion. Now we just need to add sound effects and we're ready to export.